What scene in a movie really pissed you off? Near the end of The Wedding Singer, when that douchebag Glenn thinks it's so nice of himself to agree to let Julia lean over him when they fly over the Vegas Strip. That little smirk he does makes me want to punch the TV. Julia Gulia. In Office Space when Milton didn't get his slice of cake. Still bothers me 21 years later. Now Milton. Don't be greedy. Let's pass it along and make sure everyone gets a piece. And then she doesn't pass the last piece. The amount of bread Bill wasted while preparing a sandwich for his daughter in Kill Bill. The end of Grease, where the car flies into the air for no reason. Yeah, and why? A high schooler's 35 years old? 36-year-old I not supposed to be in 9th grade? Not a specific movie, but I hate it when a character is trying to be sneaky, but they are also having a conversation with someone that the person they are hiding from could easily hear. Example, in Back to the Future 2nd, when Marty is hiding in the back of Biff's car whilst shouting at Doc Brown into a walkie-talkie. In defense of one of my favorite movies of all time, convertibles are loud, and Biff had the radio cranked up over the wind. Too. In general though, I hear ya. Biff was cruising and jamming in his car. I forgive him for not thinking anyone was in his backseat. Papa loves Mambo. Every scene where Percy's face appeared on my screen in The Green Mile. That indicates the actor did a good job. Autobots teleporting from America to England via terrible transition in the last Transformer movie. The most bizarre part for me was that they had to go to Trinity is in Dublin, Ireland. And yet Hopkins just waltzes through a door in London and he's there. It would be like a movie being set in Toronto and a character all of a sudden is in the Statue of Liberty. The end of I'm Legend missed the whole point of the book's ending. The book's ending is much better than what they filmed. It's Hollywood so they had to make that version. Wasn't there 2 endings for the film? What was the ending for the book? John Wick. When Viggo knocks John out but then ties him up instead of just killing him. I know that the bad guy not taking the opportunity to kill the hero is a common thing. But killing John is literally Viggo's only goal. John has nothing that Viggo needs. And Viggo himself delivered a huge speech about what an unstoppable badass John is. If anybody should have taken the opportunity to kill John while he was defenseless, it's Viggo. But he is Viggo. You are like the buzzing of flies to him. Scourge of Carpathia. Death is but a door. Time is but a window. I'll be back. Iron Man 3. Tony threatens a terrorist and then walks around his house in the only one of his 42 suits that doesn't have any weapons on it. If he'd been wearing literally any suit from Mark 1 to 41 those choppers wouldn't have been a problem. To add on, why doesn't his private residence have a state-of-the-art defense network? An argument can be made that it's just his own ignorance/arrogance. But even Tony should know he can't always be there for Pepper and she needed some security when he's off doing his own thing and she's chilling at the crib. In one of the G.I. Joe films there is an explosion underwater and the ice at the top falls down and starts landing on the underwater base. Ice floats. How dare you let facts into a G.I. Joe movie? I know this is silly, but the scenes in Face Off where they do the face stroking thing. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it just makes me cringe. I hated that part. It's weird and awkward. And don't rub your gross hand on someone's face. Towards the end of Speed, when Sandra Bullock's character is told to stay put for a minute, I knew in my heart that, after being a total step to the plate badass for the entire movie, that they were going to have her do something stupid and banal. Sure enough she steps out into the open, gets nabbed, and then gets put into a damsel in distress situation for Keanu to save. When I think of that movie I'm always remembering that scene where the bus takes the tight turn and you hear Sandra say the same "here we go oh 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 oh" line twice. For me it's the bus jumping the incomplete highway section, like it hits a ramp that wasn't there. Any scene in Harry Potter that could be completely and easily solved with magic they've already demonstrated in the previous films. It's like they forget every spell they've ever learned except the one the story wants them to use. Honestly, as the movies progress, all spells just blast. There's no reason for any specific spells anymore, because no matter what spells the characters are shouting, they all just blast the other person. Like, Stupefy is a stunning spell, and in the late movies it literally just blasts people backwards into walls and shit. Or in Crimes of Grindelwald, where the aura kills that rally attendee. There are so many stunning or disarming spells, and I doubt that the Ministry is letting their law enforcement go around using spells that are literally known as unforgivable. I blame David Yates for most of those, since that issue only crops up once he started directing the franchise. Death Eaters flying for spooky effect always bothered me. Book 7 made a big deal of how Voldemort was flying on his own. First scene in the Artemis Fowl movie shows the main character, who is notoriously unathletic and uncoordinated in the books, riding some waves on a surfboard. My sister made it 10 minutes into that film. Texts me to say it's shite and not to bother, then reread the books to purge it from her memory. The only good thing about that movie was that it got me reread all the books. The end of Titanic, when Rose dies, she goes into the afterlife to be with some dude she had a fling with 80 years ago. What about her husband? People she spent a lifetime with? Maybe a child that died before her? I'm making some assumptions, but you get my point. 80 years ago, and for only 3 days no less. My mom and grandmother also always got pissed when Rose threw the necklace away, when she could have given it to her granddaughter, or started a charity/foundation in Jack's name. It belonged in a museum. Literally. Any scene in the Terminator films where the Terminator shoots a gun and misses. You're telling me Skynet can build intelligent machines and they figured out time travel, yet they can't be programmed to aim straight? For me it was when a Terminator gets their hands on someone and then throws them. They have a hydraulic press grip. They could literally crush someone's skull with one hand while barely paying attention. If they get their hands on you and they want you dead, you're dead. Because that's what they are. T1 and T2 didn't have this problem and were so much more intense for it. Harry Potter breaking the Elder Wand and tossing away the pieces, implying that he's going to keep using Draco Malfoy's old wand indefinitely. Bitch no. He used the Elder Wand to mend his trusty Phoenix Feather Wand, intended to have the wand reburied with Dumbledore, and aimed to end the wand's chain of power upon his own death. And when Voldemort dissolves, the guy hits the ground like an ordinary man. That's the whole point. Despite all his magic and his Horcruxes, he's just human like everyone else and dies. Yeah, I hated that. And the whole drawn out duel between the two. Even if you forget about Horcruxes and Hallows, Voldemort is a much more powerful wizard than Harry and would straight up murder him in a duel. The only reason Harry knew he could face him in the book is because he was betting on his being right about the Elder Wand. And don't get me started on Harry grabbing Voldemort and jumping out of that tower. That was just bizarre. And don't get me started on Harry grabbing Voldemort and jumping out of that tower. That was just bizarre. I was just sat in astonishment at that point. Let's finish this how we started it, Tom. Not sure where the jumping off a building featured in how it started. Is it ever explained why Death Eaters do that shadowy thing? Probably a side effect of their particular form of transportation. Or just rule of cool. Superman beating the hell out of Steppenwolf. All the other characters are useless from that point onwards. Honestly, the biggest reason I don't like Justice League. Might as well just called it Superman Returns. Whenever a character runs from danger and falls, like it is first time in their life they've ran. Whenever a character has a heated argument with their girlfriend/boyfriend and all that could be avoided if either of them let other explain the situation or misunderstandment.